You are who you are no matter where you are, right? You cannot escape yourself no matter how hard you try. And I bring this up because of the energy of this week. Our identity, right? Who we are, how we express ourselves, our personality, if you will, is going to come into sharp focus. And by the time that you're watching this video, it will be Memorial Day here in the US, and that is the official start of summer. And so, what do people love to do during summer? Travel. And oftentimes people travel for a variety of reasons, right? They're like, I want a vacation. I need an escape from my life, or I'm trying to do something new. I need a breath of fresh air in my life and in my routine, right? And vacation is great for that. But what I love about astrology is that it not only helps you be intentional, even when on vacation, but it can really help you change. Not change who you are necessarily, but really tap into who you are at your essence. And I feel like the astrology for this week is going to help us do that or remember that. So, if you want to find out more, not only about the astrology of the moment, but how astrology can help you have the summer of a lifetime, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you're new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, like I said in the intro, at least at the time that you're watching this video, it is the unofficial start of the summer. Heavy on unofficial because, the Gregorian calendar is very much anti-nature, but for all intents and purposes, we're getting into the season where we take life a little less seriously, where we go on vacation, or where we are just outside. And I love that for us, right? Especially in these times. And the energy of this week, like I said before, has a heavy emphasis on identity because the sun is kind of the star of the show right now. So this isn't meant to give like a heavy breakdown of the transits this week, but suffice it to say, the sun is going to be in harmony with both Neptune and Pluto. Now, what does that mean? So, the sun is going to be sextile to Neptune, meaning that we have the opportunity to kind of envision a new identity for ourselves, right? Neptune is the planet of dreaming, it's the planet of illusion, it's the planet of fantasy. Some people like to think of Neptune as the Delulu planet, right? When we talk about manifestation and we talk about a planet like Neptune, we're really talking about being delusional. Now, I'm not going to put it in those terms. But I will say, with the sun sextile to Neptune, you have the opportunity to envision yourself differently, right? Perhaps you have goals, you have ambitions that you want to achieve, especially with Neptune currently in Aries, right? Great week, great energy for thinking of yourself differently. And then later in the week, the sun is going to trine to Pluto. So not only does sun sextile Neptune get us to think about ourselves differently, perhaps envision a new identity for ourselves, but the sun trine to Pluto kind of helps you put that into action, at least mentally. You can change how you think about yourself. You can change the narrative that you have about yourself. So when it comes to the energy of the week, us and ourselves are the main focus, and perhaps changing that perception of ourselves, changing that narrative of ourselves is really something that we have the opportunity to do this week in a sort of tangible kind of way. Now, keep in mind, the sun is currently in Gemini. So, this is all mental. This is what we perceive about ourselves. This is what we think about ourselves. This is the narrative that we have about ourselves. And long story short, you can change that narrative this week. You can always change that narrative. But the astrology is sort of helping you do that this week. So that's sort of the background of what we're experiencing in terms of the energy of the moment, right? Now, for some, you may feel like, okay, great. This is a great time for me to change. You may feel really hyped about this. For others, it's a little daunting because maybe you haven't been having the best life experience lately. And I get that. I'm with you on that one, right? But here's the thing. Sometimes it's not necessarily about who you are, it's about where you are. And this is where things get really interesting. And this is where we start talking about one of my current Favorite sectors of astrology and my latest obsession, which is astrocartography. Let's talk about that real quick. If you're someone who's into astrology and you are on socials, right, especially something like TikTok, you may have heard the phrase astrocartography. You may even be familiar with it, right? It's the astrology of place, basically. And so, just as you have a natal chart and you have, the astrology that explains you, that natal chart can be superimposed on the map of the world, and you and your identity can be expressed in different ways in different places. That's basically the gist of astrology for all intents and purposes, at least as it pertains to this video, right? Now, this is where things get interesting because when I was preparing for this video and thinking about the astrology for the week and how identity plays such a big role, it's like sometimes we just want to escape, right? And that's very much the essence of vacation. You need a break. You want to experience a new place. You want to have some new energy, right? And that's all well and good. But like I said in the beginning, you are who you are wherever you are. And I say this because oftentimes we have the best of intentions for a vacation, for a trip, or something like that. And then we get there and it either doesn't live up to our expectations or it kind of goes left. And that can very much speak to your particular astrocartography. Now, when I talk about superimposing your natal chart on a map of the world, basically different places in the world will activate different parts of you. But you are who you are no matter where you are. So, just like every planet covers a topic, you'll have different places in the world that can activate sort of these different topics in your life. So if you've heard people talk about, well, travel to your Venus line for love, travel to Jupiter for opportunities and abundance, that's literally what they're talking about because Venus is the planet of relationships and money, right? Jupiter is the planet of abundance and expansion. So going to those places will activate those type of topics in your life. However, and this is the caveat, you are who you are no matter where you are. Just because your Venus line deals with money and relationships doesn't mean that when you travel to your Venus line, you're going to meet someone new or you're going to have an abundance of money. Or if you travel to your Jupiter line, you're going to have good luck. It could be, but it may not happen in that way. It really depends on what's going on in your natal chart. What is Jupiter doing in your natal chart? What is Venus doing in your natal chart, right? If you've got a Venus that isn't situated that well, if you have a Venus that's currently or at the time where you're traveling being activated by a planet that may express itself negatively, right? Like Mars or Saturn. That vacation where you feel like you're going to find your soulmate or you're going to have a nice little, summer fling could turn out to be really difficult, very challenging, right? And it goes deeper than just, okay, Venus isn't necessarily aspected in my natal chart all that well. What I love about astrology is that it not only can show you your strengths and weaknesses, it can show you how to overcome them. Now, the one thing I will always say about astrocartography is that it really is about intention. Right? So it's not even just you want to plan a vacation that can help activate your mind, or you want a vacation where you have the opportunity to meet someone new. If you have a debilitated Venus, if you have, and I say that and I laugh because I have a debilitated Venus. And when I travel to my Venus line, it's never nice. It's always drama. It's always some relationship bullshit, but that's another story for another day. Actually, that's kind of a story for my members because I'm actually dropping a Venus line video later this week on Wednesday for my members. So shout out to my members who are members of the Inner Orbit. You guys are going to get a special video this week on should you travel to your Venus line or not, where I'm not only going to go into the intricacies of what it means to go to your Venus line. I'm going to give you some concrete examples. So if you're not a member yet, sign up so you can get access to that video. All right. But in any event, if you haven't faced the issues that come up with your Venus, with your Mars, with your Saturn, when you go and you travel to these places and you're activating this energy, you're just going to get more of the same. That's why I said you can't escape yourself even if you tried. right? If you are someone who, you know, and this can play out even if you travel someplace and you don't even realize that you're traveling to a place that can activate a certain part of your natal chart, right? So many of us have traveled and we had no idea that we're activating a Jupiter line or a Saturn line or a Uranus line or anything like that, right? But if you haven't dealt with the underlying issues, if you are not conscious of the energy that you bring into this place or that this place activates in you, again, you're going to activate more of the same. So it's more about consciousness than it is about wanting to experience a particular energy or wanting to experience a particular result in a particular place. I hope this definitely makes sense. Okay. But you have to look at your natal chart to see what's actually going on. Maybe you're someone who's got Jupiter placed in like Sagittarius or Pisces, right? Where Jupiter is at home. So if you were to travel to your Jupiter line, just taking this at surface level, this is a place where you experience expansion. This could be a place where you experience abundance, good luck, where your spiritual senses and your spiritual gifts are actually heightened, right? Doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. It really depends on your natal chart. But once you take a look at your natal chart and you sort of get a general sense of what it means, now when you travel to these places, you can kind of, I don't want to say predict, but you can kind of get a sense of the energy that you're going to be experiencing there. And in that way, you can be intentional about where you travel. Or at least you can sort of anticipate what you can expect when you get there, right? And that's the glory of astrology, one of the glories of astrology, in my opinion, right? Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics on the lines and the angles. I'm actually dropping a video later this week that'll address all of that. This is more about the energy of the moment and how you can use it to your advantage, right? And how you could make sense of why you feel how you feel in certain places, or perhaps why you feel like you're even called to certain places. That's one of the things that I love about astrology. It works whether you're conscious of it or not. And I found that a lot of my clients, especially before they even come to me for an astrocartography reading, they say, I really feel called to go to this place. As a matter of fact, I have a client who was like, I really feel like I need to go to Hawaii. At first they were like, yeah, this is some place I need to visit. Now they were from California, so Hawaii wasn't, that far away. But a couple of years ago, they were just like, I really feel this push to move to Hawaii. Like, I really feel like it's meant for me. I'm feeling called there. And when I looked at their astrocartography chart, along with their natal chart and their relocation chart, and side note, astrocartography, especially being able to delineate where you should go, it is quite complex. It requires several charts, looking at different things. I also look at the transit, so there's another added element there. So if you're looking to make a move, if you are looking to change locations, relocate, even deal with certain people from a certain area, you would want a professional reading because that will really give you a very concrete understanding of what you're getting into, right? And if this is speaks to you and if this is something that, you've been contemplating lately, then definitely sign up for a clarity call and you and I can discuss it in great detail before you make any moves. But in any event, back to my client. So when I looked at her chart, she had a particular line going right through where she was going to move, right? And it turned out that it was about to be activated in the next couple of months. And she actually decided to move when that line was being activated by transit. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics of her chart because that is private information, but let's just say the move wasn't easy. This wasn't a happy ending. She moved there and everything went well, but she did unlock parts of herself that allowed her to level up, especially in her spiritual practice because she was a spiritual practitioner. But that call, that urge, it's typically not for no reason. There's a part of you that is looking to be activated, perhaps. Maybe there are certain skills, there are certain facets of your personality that need to be activated in order for you to have something that you desire. Your soul literally drives the car, right? And oftentimes, certain things that we want, certain things that we want to do, certain places that we want to go, we don't necessarily know why. It's your soul wanting to be activated. And you can do that by place. And astrocartography is exactly the thing that can help you do that. Now, I am someone who's very much into the psychology of things. It's not just about, okay, this is what this is. Oftentimes it's why is it? And what are the different facets of this thing? Because nothing is ever just flat or one dimensional, right? So often you hear mostly about, okay, your Venus line, your Jupiter line, maybe even your moon line, right? Do not discount Saturn, Mars, or even your Pluto lines. And of course, I'm going to get into the specifics of that in a video later this week. However, think of it as traveling to places that can help you level up. Saturn lines can be great for work. Mars lines can be great for ambition. It can be great for strength. It can be great for independence and autonomy. And Pluto lines, and I know this one from experience, Pluto lines can literally change your life and they can change the trajectory of whatever it is you're doing in a very intense sort of way. But those three lines can be very helpful depending on your intention. Venus lines are not always so great, and not because maybe you have a debilitated Venus. It could be because Venus is actually a mirror. When it comes to Venus, and I'm actually going to go into this, some other point in time, but Venus is a mirror. So when we talk about relationships, we're talking about attracting people who can show us us. And sometimes if you're not having a great experience, it's because it's showing you what you need to work on you. So it's not just travel to your Venus line and find a soulmate or a fling. Sometimes you go to your Venus line and you are shown yourself as reflected through other people. It could also be a line where you're experiencing overindulgence. That really can track as well when we're talking about Jupiter. Jupiter is like, oh, abundance, expansion. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. So if what you're touching is not so good, Jupiter is going to give you more of that. So it's not just about there are good lines and there are bad lines. The lines and the places in the world literally just activate different aspects of you. It's not good or bad, it just is what it is. You just need to understand your intention and the energy that you bring to that place and that place activates within you. So it's not just flattened to just go here, go there, experience this. You could experience a myriad of things, but literally it depends on your particular natal chart and where you're going and what you've confronted within yourself and what you're conscious of. And when you start putting all of that together, you can really become intentional about who you are, who you could become, and how you could activate those versions of yourself in different places. And to bring it all back home, all of this is going to be at the forefront of our consciousness this week in particular, not just because this is the time where everyone starts to travel, but because of the energy of the moment, we have access to who we are, who we can become in a very conscious sort of way. So I urge you to think about that, especially if you have a trip planned or you want to go someplace in the next couple of months. As again, we're experiencing summer here in the United States, right? But also just who you are at your core. What do you need to work on? What is being mirrored to you right now? What sort of experiences are you having? And what sort of experiences would you like to have? Right? Astrology and specifically astrocartography can help you with all of that. So sound off in the comments below. Are you familiar with astrocartography? And would you like to be? All right, let me know in the comments below. So, if this interests you, I've got some things going on that I'm really excited to announce. So, if you want an astrocartography reading, of course, I provide those. Book a clarity call with me so that we can discuss it further and how I can best serve you. So, if you're interested in that, the link to book the clarity call is in the description below. But I am launching something on June 5th that I'm super excited about, and that I think you'll be excited about too. It's called Astrocartography Translated. Now, this is sort of a learn astrology, well, learn astrocartography, but also get a reading from me at the same time. Okay. It's a great service that I'm only running for summer, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, right? So that's number one. Number two, this is going to help you understand your natal chart, understand your astrocartography, and even get a mini reading from me. All right. So if you're interested in that, the link for the wait list is also in the description box below. So you can be the first to know when it launches. I've actually got a special offer for people who are on the wait list. So hit the link in the description box below and sign up because this is going to be a summer where we really understand ourselves and can possibly take some dope ass trips as well. All right. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm hoping that you guys are excited about it as well, too. More information as we get closer to the launch date and throughout the summer. So if you haven't already, like, comment, share, subscribe, and set that notification bell so that you will always know when I come out with new videos and when I develop this summer of astrocartography even further. All right. If you like this content, if you like me, if you like how I deliver this content, then consider subscribing to the channel. It's $2.99 a month. You get early access to videos, bonus videos, and something that I'm going to be implementing school soon called Chart Lab, where I go live. We not only dissect natal charts together, but you get to ask questions about your particular natal chart. So the more members that sign up, the sooner I'll be able to implement Chart Lab. So if you're interested, join the channel and join the inner orbit because that's what it's called. All right, my loves. Hopefully, this sort of piqued your interest with respect to astrocartography. Even if it didn't, understand that the energy of the week is really about your identity, perhaps who you would like to be, and what mental steps you can take to actually rewire your mind around your identity. The astrology is ripe for that this week. All right, my loves. That's all I got for you for this video. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share. And I'll see you in my next video. Take care.